call this meeting to order. If you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation afterwards. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Grau, would you please lead us this evening?
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the breath of life this evening. We thank you for those who could be here in this meeting to help grow our city, Father. We pray that those in a position to better our city, Father, that we use your wisdom, consult you for our decisions. We also pray for our city, Father, especially during this pandemic. We pray for those affected by it. We also pray for the rumors that might worry us about a food shortage and all those things. Father, we pray that we lean upon you for comfort. We know that you're in charge, that you'll be taking care of the city, Father. We pray that we help each other out also. We know that your book tells us that we are our brother's keeper. We pray that we unite as a city, and we know because of you there are good days ahead. Again, we thank you for all that you've done for us. In this prayer we pray in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mayor Donald Hewitt.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Margaret Morales. Present. Councilmember Mitch Lindemann.
Here.
Councilmember Dania Acosta.
Present.
Councilmember Ray Shelton.
Present.
And Councilmember Shelton, can you please provide us with your password?
Okay. W41013.
Thank you. And what is your location?
Santa Fe, New Mexico.
And is anyone else with you?
No.
Thank you. Councilmember Valdenegro.
Present.
Councilmember Jose Grijalva.
Here.
Interim City Manager, City Treasurer Luis Pedrosa.
Present.
City Attorney Dennis Fitzgibbons.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, persons wishing to address the council in writing or verbally on any item not on the agenda. Ms. Andrade?
Yes, you have one, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. I'd like to invite Dr. Michael Gomez, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. I have 3 concerns, and I'm not trying to be facetious or anything like that, but what I want to do is maybe that the council would establish an ordinance right away to rename our town as the City of Douglas Farm Town, because we've got trailers, we've got farm equipment sitting on our main drag for 3 months. We got trailers all over with building materials, so it would be proper to name it the City of Douglas Farmhouse. And if you don't agree, if you don't get a majority, why don't you name it the City of Douglas RV Park? There's trailers all over the city. Instead of putting them away or putting them out on the RV park that we have out there. So, suggested. The other concern that I have is that there must be an anti-pollution ordinance of somewhere, not trashing the city. My main concern is the dogs, the people that walk their dogs, defecate around St. Stephen's School and across the street from me. And I've seen policemen going by and the dog is going right there by the school fence. Then the school comes with their mower and cuts all that stuff and throws it out in our neighborhood. all around Stevens. So it's a real problem for the kids' health. It's a real problem for the citizens that live around Stevens School. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gomez. Item number 6, presentation of awards. First recognition that we'd like to do is, I don't know if you've been outside and looked towards the east lately, but there's a beautiful lit D on our infamous D Hill that sits east of our town, and many people over the years have put in lots of long hours and efforts in trying to make that a reality. And due to the community as a whole, and also many alumni, that this was finally made possible. But if it wasn't for this Light the D committee members constantly bringing up that to us and reminding us of the importance of that it never would have happened. So we'd like to take the time this evening to recognize them. And in order to do this a little bit efficiently, if I could ask the council members to come down in front, and I'll read names and give the certificates to you. And if they're here, then if you, all of you, would please present them to them. So, head down now, and I'll do that. Now that Mr. Baldenegro can walk without assistance. First, I'd like to recognize the president this year of the Light the D Committee, Max Tapia.
Just so you know, I was voted in. Thank you very much.
If you'd stay up there, Max, so we can get a picture of all of you. And Vice President Jennifer Smith. She's not here? Oh, goodness gracious. Our Secretary, Dave Raber. I don't see Dave here this evening. Our Treasurer, Michael Gomez. Did you know you're a treasurer? Let's get him up here for a picture. Okay. Well, he's coming. Another one that looks an awful lot like him. Certain times, Dr. Christine Gomez, Executive Project Director.
Thank you.
Committee member and project engineer Kevin Smith.
Thank you.
Committee member and youth volunteer coordinator Isabella Smith. Committee member and who I think is one of the major spokesmen for this project, Wendy Gomez. Also committee member, and I'm not sure if she's here, Jay Raber.
Nope.
Not this evening. And committee member Ana Chavez. And also committee members Cesar Salcido.
Oh, there's the
If you could please join me in giving them a great hand. You need to,
Can you all
Go ahead,
come
Christine.
together? I can do the full picture.
You come down. Youth, come down. I'll coordinate. Yeah. There you go. Squeeze me.
Hold on, if I take a camera? Wait. Let me get there.
Three. Can I take another one?
Thank you, Don, for everything. You know, without the city, we wouldn't have done it.
I'd like to have Dr. Christine Gomez say a few words about this process.
So I really, really, really wanted to thank Max because he does the really hard physical labor. Kevin and Brandon took down one bucket and they said, we're done. And Max was like, okay, we'll get it done, 10 at a time. But Luis, too, he's like, whatever it takes to get it done, we appreciate it. This year, there was just a big push. And I know Jennifer's not here, but some of her rec people are, Elizabeth. They were there for all of our, the D runs, and that's how we made the money. And without the city, we couldn't have done it, but Max went above and beyond. He got he found us materials that were cheaper, and Rayber, who's too humble to be here, he's not even a DHS graduate, and, this hard work of going and getting the stuff from, anyway, it was labor intensive, but these guys really stepped up, and we really appreciate it. And it came out so much better than we ever thought. And we still have a few more little surprises, hopefully, in the future. And we appreciate everything the city's done. And thank you they even tried to get grants for us potentially. So it was a group effort. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Dave may be listening in, and I always understood that he was under the impression that it was D for Dave. And that's why he was so heavily involved. But thank you very, very much. Item number 7, reading of Domestic Violence Proclamation. This month is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I issued the following proclamation. Whereas domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women between the ages of 15 to 44, and whereas in Arizona from January 1, 1998 to the present, 2,248 people lost their lives due to domestic violence. And whereas female crime victims are nearly twice as likely to be injured by an intimate partner than by a stranger. And whereas nearly 40% of American women report being physically or sexually abused by a husband or boyfriend at some point in their lives, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And whereas domestic violence has injured and taken the lives of our friends, colleagues, and family members and affects our entire community. And whereas domestic violence education, prevention, advocacy, enforcement, and prosecution need increased public attention and support. And whereas the health, safety, and well-being of women and children is now and must always continue to be one of our community's highest priorities. And whereas freedom from domestic violence is a fundamental human right and transcends race, national origin, and citizenship. Now therefore be resolved that I, Donald C. Hewish, Mayor, and on behalf of the City of Douglas, Arizona, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I'd also like to thank our police department and also the people primarily from Chiricahua last night that put on a candlelight vigil to bring awareness to this horrible part of our community. I believe the chief said that to date there was nearly 200 calls for service for domestic violence. And we all have a part to be able to see that amongst our friends, our neighbors, our church members, our fellow workers, that if we see any of those signs, to please be a friend and please encourage and be able to assist them to be able to better their lives. But it has no place in our community, and it has no place in the United States nor in the world. Item number 8, reading of Arizona Cities and Towns Week Proclamation. Whereas Arizona Cities and Towns Week is celebrating its 20th year, and whereas Arizona Cities and Towns Week is set aside each year to provide citizens with important information about the services and programs provided by the City of Douglas, and to recognize our municipal employees, volunteers, and elected officials who continually work to make sure these services are delivered seamlessly And whereas Arizona cities and towns work 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year to provide vital city services such as fire, police, and emergency medical response to ensure safe communities. And whereas Arizona cities and towns also provide services and programs that enhance quality of life for residents such as parks, water, wastewater, street maintenance, sanitation, libraries, and recreational programs. And whereas it is one of the responsibilities of the City of Douglas officials to provide open, accessible government through frequent and transparent communication with citizens using various avenues and means. And whereas through participation and cooperation, citizens, community leaders, local businesses, and municipal staff can work together to ensure that services provided by the City of Douglas remain exceptional elements of the quality of life in our community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Donald C. Hewish, Mayor, on behalf of the City of Douglas, Arizona, do hereby proclaim October 17 through 23, 2021 as Arizona Cities and Towns Week. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful community, especially our staff, and those that volunteer their time to help make this city a better place, and all the citizens that sacrifice their time to serve on committees, to participate in all aspects of making our city a better place. A heartfelt thanks from myself, and I believe I speak for all the council in wanting to recognize that and realize that sometimes city government is a necessary evil, but it's something that's there that helps provide order and allows us to be able to live in such a wonderful community that we have. And so thank you, one and all. Item number 9, discussion decision on approval of consent agenda items. Item A, expenditures for the month of September 2021 totaling $1,167,350.64. B, meeting minutes for August 11 and August 25, 2021. And item C, liquor license series 006 for the new warehouse located at 525 East 13th Street in Douglas, Arizona. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Morales.
I move that Mayor and Council approve consent agenda items A, B, and C as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mrs. Acosta to approve the consent agenda items as presented. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call please.
Councilmember Lindemann,
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Montenegro,
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales,
Yes.
and Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. I'd like to recognize Mr. Efren Bracamonte, who's the one that was applying for that liquor license to open a new business in our community. He's a lifelong Douglas young man and always stepped up and always willing to help the community whenever it's needed. So we wish you the best of luck and thank you for your dedication to Douglas.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Item number 10, discussion decision on approvals. Item A, third reading of ordinance number 21-1137, an ordinance in the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Article 12 of the Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places Code relating to the regulation of parks and recreational areas, establishing miscellaneous rules of conduct, setting forth violations, and providing for enforcement and penalties, establishing severability of components of ordinance, and establishing an effective date thereof. Chief Fulton, please.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is the third reading of the proposed ordinance. As the city continues to enhance the various amenities available for public use, regulation is necessary to safeguard them against abuse so that they will continue to be enjoyed by the community for many years to come. The proposed changes to the rules establish miscellaneous rules of conduct, set forth violations, and provide for the enforcement and penalties that is intended to provide the legal backing that we need. and we request that the mayor and council approve.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Valdenegro.
I move that mayor and council approve the third reading of ordinance number 21-1137 by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Shelton.
Motion by Mr. Valdenegro, second by Mr. Shelton, to approve the third reading of ordinance number 21-1137 by number and title only. Any questions or discussion?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please, Mr. Shelton, go ahead.
This is one of the things that I have been working on, so I highly recommend that we pass this because there's too many citizens complaining about several things that need our attention. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton, for that input. Any other questions or input? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann.
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta.
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton. Councilmember
Yes.
Shelton. Councilmember Valdenegro.
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Article 12 of the Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places Code relating to the regulation of parks and recreational areas, establishing miscellaneous rules of conduct, setting forth violations and providing for enforcement and penalties, establishing severability of components of ordinance, and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you very much. Item 10B, second reading of ordinance number 21-1140, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of semi-improved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 13 through 16, within parcel number 409-14-093 to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant to terms entered into by the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. If you recall, the city sold the building at 919 3rd Street, along with the part of the Pocket Park located on C Avenue between 2nd and 3rd Street. After the sale, the city kept that smaller parcel at the northeast corner of 2nd and C Avenue. The vacant parcel is adjacent to Mr. and Mrs. Garcia's residence of 920 2nd Street. The Garcias approached the city in 2020 with concerns about vehicles parking alongside their home to pick up children from the CAS school on 3rd Street, which created an unsafe area for them. He offered to buy 2 of the city vacant parcels adjacent to the property with the option of first right refusal for the remaining 4 lots for a price of $20,000. During this time, Mr. and Mrs. Garcia have been maintaining the entire area, not just the 2 parcels that they own, by cutting the grass and watering the trees around the area. They now would like to own the entire area, which includes the 4 extra parcels, and develop the lot in the future. The contract established in November 20 stipulates the right of first refusal for the remaining lots to be given to the Garcias for the price of $20,000. The Garcias also requested a payment plan arrangement for the 5 years, which is stipulated in your packets for 1 annual payment for the next 5 years. They also requested that no prepayment penalty, and they would exercise the opportunity to prepay if their finances allow them to do so. I also want to mention that within your packets, we will be removing the pioneer title from the documents, and the sale will be conducted directly through the city. So that change will come through within the 3rd reading. Finally, the Garcias could not make it today. They informed me that they weren't able to make it because of travel arrangements that they had around this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pedrosa. May I have a motion, please?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Valdanero.
I move that the mayor and council approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1140 and to place it on third reading by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Valdanero, second by Mr. Grijalva, to approve the second reading of ordinance number 21-1140 and to place it on third reading by number and title only. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann,
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro,
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, motion carries.
An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the sale of a semi-approved parcel of land located on the 900 block of 2nd Street, lots 13 through 16 within parcel number 409-14-093 to Joseph L. Garcia and Maria de la Luz Garcia, husband and wife, pursuant to terms entered into by the parties, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. Item number 10C. First reading of ordinance number 21-1141, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 13 of the Douglas Municipal Code relating to the public water and sewer services by amending ordinances number 755, 06-904, 09-973, 20-1117 pertaining to water and sewer fees and charges for services under Chapter 13.08, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof. Mr. Pedrosa, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city commissioned a water and sewer rate study through the 65th North Group Company a few months ago to study the water and sewer funds and its structure. What the study determined was that current rates were inadequate to keep up with current and the expected future costs to keep water and sewer utilities properly functioning. It was also noted that the rates within the city had not been increased since 2012, which were enacted around 2009, 2010. So it's been close to 11 to 12 years since the last rate increases. What's been said is that regular and operating maintenance costs have, of course, increased throughout those years, which includes the water treatment and production costs, as well as increased capital needs to service those. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. The study also went out and studied other communities as well as other utilities, private and public utilities, providing basically the same services. It was determined that public utilities in Cochise County averages showed a greater cost compared to Cochise County rates. So basically the city was under the Cochise County averages and was also even further under the state averages for both water and sewer. So what is it that is needed for these increases to be enacted? Basically on the water side, there's the need to deepen or drill 3 new wells at the approximate cost of $1.6 million for each well. We also need to upgrade our SCADA system, which is basically our monitoring system for chlorination, as well as alerts us for water levels. So it's a computerized system that helps us manage our water system. That's currently obsolete and must be replaced. Heavy and small equipment as well. Water line replacement, just where it's aging. to include valves, hydrants. We also need backup generators. As you know, when the power goes down, our well production stops. So we need backups to continue that water production and to continue to service the community. Within the sewer side of things, a lot of sewer line replacements. That infrastructure is old. We're starting to see that those effects. And just to give an example, this is not that this is the only need. An example is we determined that about 5 blocks, it's close to about $500,000 to replace a sewer line. Also, heavy and small equipment replacement is also necessary there. So, what will the increases look like? On the water side, for the next 5 years, the proposal is to increase the base fees as well as the consumption fees. So the base fees are at 2.5% for the first 3 years and 3.5% for the last 2 years. And the consumption side is 5% for the first 3 years and 8.5% for the next 2 years. The idea there is to basically the consumers of water that consume less would see a lesser increase than those higher consumption users. So we structure those water rates that way so that basically the higher consumers pay the share that they will be using. You see on the top, on the most right column, the dollar amounts on an average residential bill with 5,000 gallons water consumption. 5,000 gallons is about an average for folks here in Douglas. So within the first year it's about 61 cents on average, 63 cents, second year 66 cents, $1.03 and $1.09. Total after year 5 would be $4.02 increase on the water side. On the sewer side, it's a little bit more straightforward. Sewer is just a fixed fee. It's not based on any consumption. So we are proposing a 4% increase throughout the 5 years, which equates to about actually $1, $1.04, $1.08, $1.13, and $1.17 for the next 5 years, for a total increase of $5.42 for a residential customer inside the city limits. We wanted to show what the actual utility bill looks like, just so that folks can see that and understand that how they get their utility bill. So we carved out that section of the utility bill where it lists all your charges. We have circled there the consumption for this particular customer. 50 stands for 5,000 gallons. You just add 2 zeros to that number where it says usage, and that's the total consumption for the month. So we're calculating a 5,000 gallon water bill, and there you see the different charges: the water-based charge, water consumption, the sewer charge, garbage, and as you know, we charge garbage within our water and sewer utility bill, so that's why you see that charge there. The Superfund tax, that's a tax charged by the state for water utilities, and the sales tax, charged only on the water side of the bill. So with this bill, it's $67.01 for 5,000 gallons. What will it look like after the increases and after year 5 is on the right side of that graphic. Basically, the water-based charge will increase to $17.88. That's a $2.38 increase. The water consumption fee would increase $1.65. Sewer would increase $5.42. The Superfund tax a cent, and the sales tax 40 cents. So for a total increase of $9.86 at the end of year 5. That's for, again, a basic residential customer. We also wanted to show a business because businesses tend to consume more water, and they also fall under different types of rates. There's many different types of rates within a business and a business structure depending on their water usage. There's different meter sizes, so they get charged based on the size of meter. We start from 3/4 inch meter to 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and 6 inch meters. So depending on the size of that business, they get equipped with that size meter. In this particular case, we're using an example for a 1 inch meter, which is at a higher base rate for water. And it's depicted as follows. The water base fee is $17.50. With the increase, it would be $20.19. The water consumption in this particular case is 30,000 gallons of water consumption for this business. So as it exists now, they pay $28.50 on that consumption, and with the increases, they would pay $42.90. The other increases will proportionally increase as well, but if you look towards the bottom there, you'll see a $26.89 increase on this particular business that consumes 30,000 gallons a month. And as you can see, the biggest increase is on the consumption side. So, and the base charge is only $2.69, while the consumption side is $14.40. With that said, I also want to talk a little bit about the amount of revenues that we are projecting to levy or raise with these fees, I should say. Basically, we're not raising it to the levels that we can purchase a $1.6 million well. We are raising these fees enough to be able to acquire debt or finance these large capital improvements and have that capacity, build that capacity to be able to go out for debt for those large capital purchases.
Mr. Pedrosa, can you explain to the council and the public the theory behind that of spreading those costs?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The reason we go out for debt, and it's actually in the study, that it's actually recommended we go out for debt. About 75% of your capital needs should go out for debt, because what you want to do is basically the people that are using the asset to pay for that asset. So you borrow for a well that has a useful life of 20 years, you borrow for 20 years. Therefore, the people that will be utilizing that asset will be paying for it through a debt service payment, through that fees, as opposed to paying it lump sum. Only the folks that were living here in Douglas would pay for that asset that would last us for 20 years. So there's a method to that, to be able to spread those costs out throughout the life of the assets, and for the people that are using those assets to pay the fair share through that life cycle. Lastly, Mayor, I would also mention that this is, as a first reading, it will act as a notice of intent to increase and basically meet that state statute that we are by law supposed to meet whenever the city is considering to raise any fees.
Mr. Pedrosa, could you please go to the next slide? I know one of the comments that we received at our town hall when we brought this subject up was people that were filling up tanks of water and taking them to other places through, maybe in our community, but more than likely outside our community. And you have a line down there and they would hook into a fire hydrant, and you can see the prices in comparison. Please address that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, we do allow that for folks to come and pay service on a fire hydrant and allow farmers or other construction workers to bring their trucks, gather some water, but we have fire hydrants that have a meter, and that water gets metered and it gets charged to the account. We are also addressing those increases to those accounts, and you can see that here. I didn't want to show this slide only if it was needed, because it confuses. It's quite a confusing slide. There's a lot of numbers there, but it's basically showing the water increases throughout the 5 years and the different types of categories that we're increasing them. So if you look there, the fire hydrant is currently at $2 per 1,000 gallons, and at the end of year 5 it will go up to $2.73.
And just for the public that may be looking in, so we've been given the example of a 5,000 gallon normal user residential, which would start out at 90 cents, and the fire hydrant is $2. So we are addressing that, and that's why it's allowed. The other thing, if we can mention before you finish, Mr. Pedrosa, another concern that came up in the town hall was that for fixed income elderly, and if you could please express the thought process of how we structured the increases to help benefit those that use little water, which is our retirees and such.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As we mentioned, we structured it so that the increases were heavier on the consumption side. Our fixed income folks tend to be lower consumers of water. Therefore, we try to least affect them by increasing less on the base charge that everybody pays the same, but increasing it more on the consumption side. Therefore, those higher consumers will feel it a little bit more and see those increases higher than our fixed income folks that typically do not utilize a lot of water. So this is how we try to balance those and try and help those folks, but as well as we also need to meet those revenue levels that we're trying to meet. So it was a balancing act, but we were able to do that by putting it a little bit heavier on the consumption side.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Morales.
I move that mayor and council approve the placement of ordinance number 21-1141 on its first reading by number and title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morales, second by Mr. Baldonado, to approve the placement of ordinance number 21-1141 on its first reading by number and title only. Any questions, comments, or input, discussion, etc.?
Mayor?
Yes, please.
Mr. Pedrosa, I think we fully understand that you have to cover your costs, and you know, we would rather that than cut services. And so, but my question is, what is the increase going to be, say, for the average user between now and when this takes effect? What will the increase in their bill be?
As Mr. Lindeman, to answer your question, as it's projected within the next 3 readings, this ordinance would take effect January 15th of 2022. And the first increase would be as follows: 61 cents in water and $1 in sewer. So about an average for average residential user, $1.61 would be the increase on January 15, 2022.
So they'll see that increase on their bill that first month. Whatever the average is, say if it was $65, it will be 61.
$1.61. And to clarify, Mr. Lindeman, we would probably enact that on the February bill because it gets billed in arrears.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking February billing for the beginning of January 15 through February 15th.
Okay.
So actually, that would be the March bill.
I did have another comment.
Please.
I am very glad to see, as we read through this, that the city staff recommended to remove the credit card surcharge fee, which I have never been in favor of when this was acted. I don't know if you remember all those years back, I voted no on that one. But I'm glad to see that now that will disappear.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Lindeman. We do plan on eliminating that surcharge. As you may recall, we eliminated that surcharge administratively during COVID to incite people to not come and pay your bill, to pay it online. It worked very well, and actually even after we opened our doors, people continue to pay online, and we saw a huge efficiency in that. And we thought that even if we were to absorb that cost, I think the efficiencies in doing so would pay for that. In addition, we're getting a more leaner system that's not as costly. So we will be saving some dollars there to be processing those credit cards online. And also when face-to-face, when you come and bring your credit card. So we definitely want to encourage that. Less cash that we have to handle is better. It's always best to receive those funds electronically for security purposes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lindeman. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please, Mrs. Acosta.
what is going to be the process for people to come in and request, for the low-income families to come in and see if they qualify for some kind of reduction or not increase?
So, Councilmember Acosta, the process is that, again, as we mentioned, we are not increasing them on the consumption side. We don't have we're not enacting a process for low income. What we're saying, we're addressing the low income through the way we're enacting the fees. We're enacting the fees so that it least affects them. So there's no qualification process. It's already going to be least affecting them in the way that we're enacting the fees.
Okay, that's my misunderstanding. But so with that being said, you have people that are on fixed incomes, and even though we may see it as least affecting them, it is still an effect that, with a fixed income, it's hard to address. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Acosta. Anyone else? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindeman?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta?
No.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
No.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
In orders of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 13 of the Douglas Municipal Code relating to public water and sewer services by amending Ordinance 755, 06-904, 09-973, 20-1117 pertaining to water and sewer fees and charges for services under Chapter 13.08, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the first reading?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Morales.
I move that Mayor and Council approve the first reading of ordinance number 21-1141 and to place it on second reading by number and title only.
Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Morales, second by Mr. Valdenegro to approve the first reading of ordinance number 21-1141 and to place it on second reading by number and title only. Any questions or discussion? I realize that anytime that you raise fees for city services, it's a very difficult process. But I also would like to commend staff for taking this issue on, and the council for taking this issue on, as we have to combat the deterioration of our infrastructure in the community. And this is one way of, in one area, better said, that we can accomplish that, because we do want to maintain those services that we offer, and we do it at the most efficient way. And I applaud the council for overlooking this and making sure that it is done efficiently and maximizing the minimal increases that we're talking about. So again, thank you to all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta?
No.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
No.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries.
In honors of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, amending Title 13 of the Douglas Municipal Code relating to public water and sewer services by amending ordinances 755, 06-904, 09-973, 20-1117, pertaining to water and sewer fees and charges for services under Chapter 13.08, establishing severability of components of ordinance and establishing an effective date thereof.
Thank you. Item number 10D, resolution, just by way of information, this topic will come up again at our regular meeting in November 10th, I believe it is, but the second Wednesday in November. Also, if any of the community would like to have additional input to that, you're more than welcome to come and or send us electronically or otherwise any of your comments. Item number 10D, resolution number 21-1475, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the City of Douglas to accept grant funding and enter into an agreement with the State of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety for reimbursable grant in the amount of $25,000 for occupant protection enforcement overtime. Chief Fullen, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety solicited proposals for consideration under their federal fiscal year 2022 grant cycle. Sergeant David Acosta prepared a proposal which included personnel overtime as well as employee-related expenses for occupant protection enforcement, essentially seat belt and child seat use. We will be using those funds to deploy during the holidays and other planned dates. The grant period is set to run from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. We are requesting that Mayor and Council approve.
Thank you, Chief. May I have a motion?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Valdenegro.
I move that Mayor and Council approve resolution number 21-1475.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Valdenegro, second by Mr. Lindemann to approve resolution number 21-1475. Any questions or discussion? Again, I think I speak on behalf of the council. Many thanks to the police department for making our community safer through these extra enhancements that allow us to be out there and help the public to the fullest extent. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta? Yes. Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10E, resolution number 21-1476, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the City of Douglas to accept grant funding and enter into an agreement with the State of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety for a reimbursable grant in the amount of $8,000 for the department's Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, STEP or STEP, overtime. Chief Fullen?
Again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this was a separate solicitation through the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety that was also applied for by Sergeant David Acosta. It does include personnel overtime, employee-related expenses for that targeted traffic enforcement, focusing on speed, aggressive driving, and pedestrian safety. This grant cycle also runs October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022 in the amount of $8,000, and we are requesting that you approve.
Thank you, Chief. May I have a motion?
Mayor,
Yes, please.
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 21-1476.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lindeman, second by Mr. Baldonado to approve resolution number 21-1476. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta? Yes. Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10F, resolution number 21-1477, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing the city of Douglas to accept grant funding and enter into an agreement with the state of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety for a reimbursable grant in the amount of $22,000 for DUI/impaired enforcement overtime. Chief Fuller, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this was the third line item or funding stream that Sergeant David Acosta applied for, again through the Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety. The funds will cover personnel overtime expenses and employee-related expenses for DUI enforcement. The grant period runs from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022 in the amount of $22,000, and we are requesting that you approve.
Thank you very much. Just for references, if you looked in your background information, I believe there's a typo, anticipated award of $25,000, but it's actually 22. Is that
It is
correct?
22,000, correct.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Baldonado.
I move that the mayor and council approve resolution number 21-1477.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Baldonado, second by Mrs. Acosta to approve resolution number 21-1477. Questions, comments, discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please, Mrs. Acosta. Ms. Morales. I just heard a female voice. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to commend Sergeant David Acosta for getting these grants. I know every year you always are able to apply for a lot of these grants, so it's really great to see this. And thank you to
It is a fantastic aid for us. It does help supplement our manpower out on the road and keeping everyone safe.
Thank you, Mrs. Morales. Anyone else? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta? Yes. Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item 10G, resolution number 21-1478, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, approving the acceptance of a grant for the library from the Space Science Institute's National Center for Interactive Learning, or better stated, NCIL/SSI. The American Library Association, ALA, Lunar and Planetaries Institute, LPI, and Education Development Center, EDC, to include staff training and program resources to implement NASA events and programming access to a university subject matter expert, SME, and $1,600 for programming expenses for the development of a NASA at My Library program for the benefit of the community. Ms. White?
Thank you and good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. The resolution before you asks that you accept the NASA at My Library grant from the organizations specified, including the Space Science Institute's National Center for Interactive Learning, the American Library Association, the Lunar and Planetary Institute, and the Educational Development Center to include staff training and NASA program resources and $1,600 in support of programming expenses to implement a NASA at My Library program at the Douglas Public Library. And for the benefit of our listeners, NASA at My Library is an educational initiative created to increase and enhance STEAM learning, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, opportunities for library patrons throughout the country. The Douglas Public Library was one of just 60 libraries selected nationwide to participate in this initiative. And our primary focus will be on the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope, which is now scheduled for launch on December 18th. The return of the first Webb images in the spring of 2022. And as part of the collaborative summer library program in summer of 2022. And we are requesting that you approve.
Thank you, Ms. White. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mrs. Acosta?
I move that mayor and council approve resolution number 21-1478.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Acosta, second by Mr. Balanego to approve resolution number 21-1478. Any discussion or questions?
Mayor?
Yes, please, Mr. Lindeman.
I just would like to say thank you, Mrs. White, for all you've done, and this is an incredible opportunity for us, and you all appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We're very excited.
Mrs. Acosta, please.
Likewise, thank you so much. That's one of the areas I think that Douglas could really shine is in the STEAM and just exploring all the talent that we have with our youth. So thank you so much for this program and impressive, 1 out of 60. So that's awesome.
Thank you very much. Our kids are very excited.
Thank you, Mr. Lindeman and Mrs. Acosta. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please, Mrs. Morales.
I just wanted to ask, I know this is awesome that you're one of the 60 libraries. Do you know how many actually applied for this grant nationwide?
Over 150 is our best understanding.
150. Well, this is really great, so congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morales. Mr. Grijalva?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you also because you just keep staying busy. You're applying for grants and all the activities you have this month, and I mean, you keep our community busy and having fun. So thank you, and to you and your staff.
And that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grijalva. Anyone else? Yes, please, Mr. Balanego.
That's why that meeting we're going to open late now, so we can watch the solar system now from the library.
Well, we're back to our regular hours right now, and depending on how we can get subject matter experts here, we possibly will be opening later on in the evening to do stargazing or to present programs. We're working on that right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Balanego. Ms. White, if you could just keep us updated as these things launch, it's very exciting to
No
be able to see that.
intended.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindeman?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta?
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Balanego?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you again. Item 10H, resolution number 21-1479, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, authorizing to enter into a mutual aid compact agreement between the city of Douglas and the Department of the Army, U.S. Army Garrison, Fort Huachuca, USAG, and the fire departments of local county Cochise communities for purposes of providing mutual aid between this entity and political subdivisions for pooled resources to better respond during emergencies in the city of Douglas and surrounding communities. Assistant Chief Alvarez, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. A similar MOU was approved by Mayor and Council in 2016, but was never implemented. The City of Douglas Fire Department has determined that it is in its best interest to enter into a mutual aid compact with the United States Army Garrison, Fort Huachuca, also known as USGA, which provides mutual aid compact whereas either entity can respond to each other's jurisdiction and provide needed assistance when available for any particular requested incident. This agreement provides a basis for cooperation between the parties on all aspects of fire emergency services and management. In addition, it will facilitate the cooperative use of resources. It is in the best interest of the City of Douglas Fire Department to aid when parties determine the assistance is needed. Staff recommend that you approve this mutual aid compact agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Chief. Any questions or comments?
Mayor?
Yes, please, Mr. Grijalva.
Assistant Chief, I just wanted to thank you and your department for, this is an olive branch, right? Communication and building relationships with other entities. It only serves to bring us closer together, especially since we're so close to each other, so thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grijalva. Anyone else? I just pray we never have to be involved.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, if we can have a motion on the
Oh,
floor.
thank you very much. Very, very much. All these exciting grants. We'll take the money and these mutual aid agreements. May I have a motion, please?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Costa.
I move that Mayor and Council approve resolution number 21-1479.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Acosta, second by Mr. Grijalva to approve resolution number 21-1479. Thank you, Ms. Alma. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta? Yes. Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item 10I, resolution number 21-1480, a resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of Douglas, Cochise County, Arizona, adopting the City of Douglas 2021 Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Pension Funding Policy. Ms. Garcia Pedrosa, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of the Council. Arizona Revised Statute 38-863 requires each governing body with PSPRS plans to annually adopt a pension funding policy and to formally accept the employer's share of the assets and liabilities under the system based on their actuarial evaluation reports. The latest actuarial reports available to us cover the period up to June 30th of 2020. These show a funded ratio for the police plan of 31.9 and for fire at 32.1. In this updated policy, we're outlining the recent issuance of taxable pledged revenue obligations to fund the plans at or close to 100%. This is what we recently did back in June to be for July. And the establishment of the contingency reserve fund to provide for additional contributions from the plans fall below the 100% funding. We're hoping that by the next time we update this policy in 1 year or less than that time, we expect the PSPRS June 30, 2021 evaluation reports to show that the plan is at or near 100% funding. So each year we'll be coming to update a policy as required by statute.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please?
Mayor,
Yes, please, Mr. Valdenegro.
I move that the Mayor and Council approve resolution number 21-1480.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Valdenegro, second by Mr. Shelton to approve resolution number 21-1480. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lindemann?
Yes.
Councilmember Acosta? Yes. Councilmember Shelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdenegro?
Yes.
Councilmember Grijalva?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Morales?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 11, City Manager Report. Do you have anything to report this evening?
Yes, Mr. Mayor,
Please.
some more reports.
As the mayor mentioned, we're celebrating Cities and Towns Week. It's the 20th anniversary, the week of October 17th to the 23rd. We celebrate Cities and Towns Week to bring awareness of the programs and services that cities provide. As an example, we want to recognize the vital services that our police and fire provide to us, but also the unsung heroes, that is our wastewater treatment operators, our sanitation department. Each division strives to bring betterment to the quality of life in providing these essential services. As a token of our appreciation, we will be celebrating our employees, our greatest asset for the city that furnish those services, by an appreciation breakfast. It will be served in conjunction with welcoming our new city manager, whose first day will be Monday of next week. And again, in conjunction celebrating Cities and Towns Week for that day. Another example is, as you can see, there's a difference here in our council chambers tonight. You see the nice textured walls that we have. You will be seeing more work being performed in our council chambers to reflect our city and the city government that we wish to project. So you will be seeing a lot of changes to the flooring, to the seating, and to the outside of the council chambers. Finally, Mr. Mayor, I want to invite the public to National Night In tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Douglas Police Department. It's open to everyone, all families, kids. There's going to be free hot dogs, rock wall climb, tours, and it's just getting to know our police department, and other city departments will also be involved. So the public is welcome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I understand there's rock climbing, and the rumor on the street is that Mr. Grijalva and Mrs. Morales are going to have a race to the top. So I don't know if that...
I challenge the winner.
Mr. Costa wants to challenge the winner, so what was that, at 4:22 p.m. So start.
I'll be there at 5.
Maybe we'll have a scissor there for you to get you up there. But thank you, and again, Mr. Pedrosa, I know this is your last meeting sitting in the hot chair, and I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for stepping up and making sure that we didn't miss a beat. And it's really been, I was going to use the word amazing, but that makes it sound like we didn't think it was possible. But I think it's truly a show of the talented people that we have within our employee ranks right now. And I know you've sacrificed a lot of time and to be able to do what I think is 2.5 hats, and be able to carry us through this most critical time. And I think approval of your vacation will come here in another couple of weeks, and finally let you to go out and work in your yard for a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was my pleasure to serve you and the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please, Ms. Morales.
I would just like to add that to thank you also for stepping up. I've always been amazed at all your talents, and I'm very, very proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourself also. And so thank you. So maybe in the future, you will take the job on sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Item number 12, informational items and reports from the council on future agenda item requests. Mr. Grijalva, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Reminding everybody, fourth Monday of the month is Commodities Day for the Food Bank. I want to thank Diane's Photography for their open house. If you get a chance, please go inside. It looks amazing. It looks unique. It's not like any other building you'll see in Douglas, and hopefully this moves on to revitalize G Avenue with visions that we have, the merchants down there have. Also, there was a public invitation for the American Southwest Credit Union on Friday from 11 to 1. There'll also be free food there. So to celebrate their grand opening of their new building. And again, I want to again thank Mr. Pedrosa for putting up with me, and I guess some of the council, mostly with me. What a lot of people don't realize with him is he wasn't, I don't think he was thinking about being a city manager at some point, when he was in finance, but he did all this without a deputy. And I want to thank our staff also, all our employees, for coming together and helping each other out. It wasn't easy, but again, to this point, it was worth it, because we wouldn't be here without Mr. Pedrosa and all those that were involved. So I want to thank you again and our staff. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Grau. Just a note on the food bank. I know that the holiday months are coming up, and I'm sure they need extra hands to help with the distribution. Is that correct?
Yeah, we need more volunteers. A few haven't been going, so the more we can have, the more it's appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Grau. Anyone else? Mr. Shelton, we'd like to thank you for being with us. Would you like to say anything?
Yes, I would. Luis, thank you for immediately getting on every request I think I brought in from all the people in Douglas, all the citizens that had complaints or things that needed to be done. You got on them, and I would like to thank you very much, and be looking forward to working with you now in, as city treasurer. Take care and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton, and safe travel homes when you're feeling better and ready to come home.
Hopefully tomorrow.
Hey, there you go. Item number 13, adjournment. May I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Morales?
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morales, second by Mr. Shelton to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Aye.
That was part of the adjournment. Ayes. We stand adjourned at 7:17.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Mr. Shelton.
Thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good night.